Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Lea D'Auriol and I'm the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Oceanic Global. Oceanic Global engages new audiences in ocean conservation. We tap into universal passions to raise awareness for issues impacting our oceans and to provide individual but also industry solutions that drive positive change. So very much focusing on behavioral change, how to be promoting sustainable operating practices. And so today I'm really excited to be speaking to you about daily sustainability tips to keep our planet and our oceans healthy. So one of the things to take into consideration during this lockdown period, COVID, and as things start to open up, is that it takes 21 days to actually create a new habit. So whilst we're still indoors, why don't we take this time to make some habits that are in the best interest of our planet too? So with that, I thought maybe before starting, actually, I'll go through the 5 R's. So actually around Earth Day this year, we launched a 5R challenge with our partners at Eco Resolution. And the 5 R's are refuse, reduce, reuse, rot, and recycle. So these are things that we can all do every single day. And we actually challenge people to share with us what are the different creative ways that they're doing these things. And we had amazing examples. We had people who, were creating their own cards, who were composting, creating little vegetable gardens, etc. So one of the things to think about as we go into Plastic-Free July, actually on the 1st of July, are what are some of these tips that we can also bring into our communities? How can we share this information? How can we make it fun, gamify it, share it with our families, create little competitions around it, but also celebrate these achievements. Like if you are going out there and you're being really thoughtful about it and thinking about how to make these sustainability changes in your life, like let's celebrate this together. The planet will be happy, you'll be happy, ultimately everyone will be happy, and it will be a win-win. So I thought I would take this opportunity to share a little bit about what are some of the things that I do within my home, and hopefully this will inspire you, provide opportunities within your own household. Around 3 years ago, I really had a moment where I looked at myself in the mirror and I looked at what are all these things in my home that I use every single day, and how are they adding to the waste that I create? And I actually went through all these different items and looked at finding sustainable alternatives for each. And that's definitely an exercise I would recommend that everyone does, just so you're aware of like, what is your footprint as a human? Like, what are you contributing to every day? And it's quite a scary experiment at times, but definitely fascinating. And it just shows you the endless possibilities that you can have and how you can drive individual change there too, which is very powerful. But also how once you do that, naturally a ripple effect starts, which is something important to keep in mind with this idea of the collective. So in my house, let me see what I have here. I'm going to start off by sharing mason jars. So this has been a big one for me. Love mason jars. I store everything in it, everything from nuts to dried fruit to grains. When I go to the grocery store, I actually bring mason jars with me, and I'll go to the bulk aisle in a lot of places and actually fill this up, which helps me minimize my plastic packaging and bringing that back into my home. So a big one there. When things were open and I would go and pick up a smoothie or a juice, actually, instead of bringing a reusable cup, a lot of the time I just bring a reusable mason jar, pop in there my reusable straw, and that was it. So recommend having these around. And you can also be creative. So what we do is anytime we have leftover mustard or jam jars or anything along those lines, actually rinse them out, pop them in the dishwasher, and then reuse them. They become little storage units. I make salad dressings in them or use them to store food. So big plus to the mason jars. Another one of my favorites is the slasher bags. So I was finding it really hard to get rid of Ziploc bags. They were this one thing that I was like, oh God, what can we really replace? How can we live without it? And I came across these. They come in different sizes. I've had this for around 3 years. They last amazingly well. And you can put it in your handbag, have little snacks. Anytime I put everything in here, honestly. Anything from tea bags if I'm traveling, because I like to have my English breakfast tea, to, food, to even dog food. So anytime I go somewhere overnight and travel with my dog, actually all the dog food goes into a bigger version of this, as well as her bones and any snacks. So recommend these instead of Ziploc bags. Then beeswax. So something else I was finding hard to eliminate was actually cling film. Americans would say Saran wrap, I think, yes. And so this has been amazing. Anytime I have, that half a lemon hanging out that I don't want to throw away, but I also know that it needs to be covered and preserved, just wrap it in here and pop it in the fridge. Also, anytime I need something to cover something, so for example, let's use my reusable water bottle right now. It's just such an amazing sealing opportunity. So you just pop that on, and there you go, it's sealed, and I put it in the fridge. So definitely recommend investing in this. These can be re-washed and reused as many times too. I think on average they're reused like 30 times. Depending on how you use it, you may get more uses out of it too. Another favorite, as we're talking about storage, is actually, so anytime I was making salads or had leftover pasta, whatever it is, a lot of people can actually use like reusable boxes, and for some reason this has become my best friend. So they come in different sizes. This I pop over a bowl a lot of the time. This is a bit of a larger size. I'm just going to show you actually how it works. So it's super easy. You just slide it on top. There you go. And that's it. So really recommend investing in a few of these. Again, had these for a few years, pop them in the laundry, and they're clean again. You'll notice that a lot of what I'm recommending actually is like the packaging, and the reason I'm doing that is I feel like a lot of us are aware of, the single-use straw that we need to eliminate, or the fact that, we need to say no to water bottles, like refill your own, bringing around your own shopping bag. So I'm not really touching upon the more obvious ones, but again, those are all really valid and really important. We actually, on our website, you go to Oceanic.Global, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's a little tab that says Take Action, and if you click on that, it will give you sustainable alternatives, and it looks at what are lifestyle ones. How can you host a sustainable birthday party? All these different things. So if you're looking for a little bit more information, I definitely recommend that you go and check that out. Another favorite is coconut husk sponges. So just another way, again, to minimize waste. It's more sustainable. Sustainable meaning better for the planet, also better for you. And totally love it. I actually found these on Amazon. So it's interesting. The more you start to look for sustainable alternatives, definitely check out where you're already shopping and see like what are they offering. You'd be surprised how many more places are starting to really, carry more sustainable lines. And one of my favorite shops I just want to give a quick shout out to is a shop called Package Free. So they're actually based in Brooklyn, and they offer sustainable alternatives to nearly anything that you could buy. So if you're looking for a reusable razor to, what did I buy there recently? I recently bought sustainable hair ties, but also they have anything from like a kitchen perspective to anything you may need from a toiletries, etc. Definitely check them out. Okay, so that's kind of it on the kitchen front. I've also, personally, from being stuck indoors for so long, I've been going to the park every evening when I can and walking my dog, and one of the things that I do there is try and bring some food, or I'll go and have a socially distanced picnic with some friends. And so we typically bring a lot of just, different materials, like fiber-based materials for plates and utensils. So I'm blanking on the name of this, but this is actually a leaf that's been pressed into a plate, and this is great because it biodegrades really easily. So you can just put this in normal trash and it will compost. If you do have composting, even better. Love that. But yes, then utensils. So just wooden utensils there. Again, you can have bamboo ones. If you want to be 100% sustainable, you can bring your own ones and bring them home and wash them. And I'm not going to go into composting too much today, as that's a whole other kind of realm. But that is one of our R's when you're talking about rot. And composting is amazing. One of the things that I'm based in New York, and at times we haven't been able to compost during COVID because it was actually shut down for a period. And so what I was doing is I was storing everything in my freezer. And so in my freezer, I've done two different parts. One is I have one of these, basically just like a metal bowl, and I just put all the vegetables in and freeze it. And then when it's ready, I'll put that into a potato starch trash bag and then drop that off at my farmer's market. Or I'll just put it in a potato starch trash bag, which you can actually also order on Amazon, and drop that off at your farmer's market. It's like my computer is running out. Okay, so that is sustainable alternatives there. And then in terms of bathroom stuff, so one of the things that I found really hard was the amount of packaging on my shampoo, conditioner, body wash, lotion, etc. I came across this amazing company called Plaine products. So Plaine products actually have reusable and refillable bottles. So what you do is when you order your first one, you get both components, and when this is empty, I order another one and they send me just the base, the aluminum base with obviously all the product inside, and I take my old plastic top and I pop it on the new one and I send the empty bottle back to them and then they refill it. So there's all these really cool companies out there that I definitely recommend looking into if you are looking at lowering your plastic footprint in your home. Another favorite, as summer is around the corner, is sunscreen. So, I mean, the crazy thing about plastic is, we think of like all the obvious ones, and then we look around and we start to see everything is actually made from plastic, which is not a bad thing. But, things that are single use we shouldn't be using that material within that way. So this is a company called Raw Elements, and they are pretty amazing. They make it out of like an aluminium packaging, which is great. But also what I love about them is everything that they do is reef safe. So you may not be aware, but actually coral reef bleaching, sunscreen actually contributes a huge amount to coral reef bleaching. So if you are someone who is able and going into the ocean and is currently using sunscreen, be really careful what you're putting into your skin and what really what effect is that having on our aquatic ecosystem, on any of the animals that you may be coming into contact with, etc. So one of the things to look at is just making sure that you're sourcing reef safe sunscreen there. Really important if you're looking at minimizing your human impact on the oceans. And that's really it from kind of top level tips that I have for you today in terms of what I do and have within my home. Again, excited to answer any questions in 1 second with you, but something to just consider is, let's see how we can really go into Plastic Free July together, embrace the 5R challenge. How do we make this fun? How do we inspire our communities? Just the fact that you're here today listening and wanting to learn is huge, and I think it's important to recognize that. But it's also a privilege that we're having these conversations, and everyone needs to be having these conversations. So let's just make sure that this is accessible, and I'm excited to make some good habits with you and chat to you in a sec.